What's up? I'm currently live, obviously, but yeah, I'm just kind of doing everything. I'm more or less curious on like I got a like on my last video, which was that I made literally when I woke up, and then went to go work out for a bit. For like had like an hour workout and everything. Came back, made me a protein shake, down that shit, and then my entire laptop refreshed. So and I looked up, my shit had 4 views and a like. I was just like, what the fuck? What's going on? It's crazy because I can't see the person that liked it. That's the thing that sucks. Like I can see comments, like the last one that has like a comment. Like I can basically go based off of like the comment that that person liked and commented. But that's pretty much it. There's really nothing else. But but now for my feed and whatnot, I'm like going through it and making everything like where I can only see it. So stuff that really has nothing to do with anything. Like there's 3 posts that have nothing to do with anything. If I'm being honest, they're kind of just posts I made. I'm not getting rid of my uh, the highest one that I have. She got um 4,000 views, 638 likes, 36 comments, 83 saves, and I don't even know how many reposts. If I'm being honest, I don't think I can see that part. But then again, I don't think it's even available to be reposted. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I probably won't get any more views or likes on that post. But at the same time, I'll just leave it there. But yeah, I've been more or less just taking certain, been pretty much just in the process of you know just taking all of them and then putting them in the archive. That lock is basically what archives are, basically, because it's meant for you and only you. So I decided, you know what, fuck it, why not? Just put everything in there. Some of them, I hate the fact that sound was removed because I miss my puffy hair. I had a banging afro. Ugh, amazing. But like some of these, like why I'm a horrible boyfriend, even if you leave, the rest, things I find more intimate than sex, 3 rules for my future wife or girlfriend, certain things like that I find, well, not even that I find, but that I've posted, I'll probably reword them, obviously, so it'll be like for your future wife or girlfriend, like even if even if they leave, even if they leave, stuff like that, basically. Because if I'm being honest, I don't think everyone is, in retrospect, in retrospect, there's no one in the planet that's a perfect boyfriend, a perfect girlfriend, a perfect this, that, and the other. Like this doesn't exist. Like you can be your level of perfect, but at the same time, there are going to be times where you do mess up. There are going to be times where you do, you know, stumble and fall and everything. There's going to be times where you make mistakes. But it's more or less of like, is your bond with the person that you love, is that bond strong? Because if it is strong, then obviously depending on what you've done or what you did or what they did or whatever the case may be, it's the fact of have a conversation. Like have a deep have a deep conversation with your significant other, or maybe it's like maybe it's like an ex that you have, and you like you can't stop thinking about them, and then you have a feeling that they can't stop thinking about you, type of thing. And just it's because it never hurts to ask, like, could we have a conversation? And obviously texting is always good. Like, you can always text because it is easier to do because you can do it with like throughout the day and everything. But if you can, I would recommend um, calling, just because the tone of your voice, the you can hear a lot in someone's voice. There's a lot you can hear, like their tone, the way they sound. Like, there's a lot of things that you can hear from someone's voice. You know, like, there really is. There's a lot you can gather, because through text, you're more or less through text you're kind of not really doing much of anything. You're just kind of like, if you believe that they hate you, then your thought of like you, because like everyone, if you're like dating somebody or you're married to somebody or you used to date somebody or something, is the fact that you have a voice in your head that basically when you read their text, it's from their voice of what you remember. Because you'll always remember their voice, even if it's one of those things where you're like, damn, I don't remember what she sounds like. It's the fact that if you have old messages of each other, and if you read them, eventually it's gonna click, and eventually you'll hear a voice that's basically, but it's not you talking, but it's the fact that it's your conscious making him or her voice appear, but you may not recognize it. It's very interesting. The mind is a very interesting thing, but it's definitely it's definitely one of those things where it's just like, it doesn't hurt to it doesn't hurt to talk. It doesn't. It doesn't hurt to, if things are going bad and everything, where you both you know come out of the you could, like, we both basically come to an agreement for a certain day or time, and then for however long it takes, you talk. Because it's not like you have an hour or you have 2 hours. There shouldn't be a time limit on it. Like, it's the fact that you should be able to both of you should be able to say every single thing that you have to say, and like, you should say everything you possibly can. Obviously make sure it's truthful, obviously, but it's the fact that you shouldn't, like, when the call ends, you shouldn't be like, damn, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have said that. You know, like, don't have the doubt. Don't have that doubt after that phone call that you weren't saying 100% of what you felt or what you feel or what you're currently feeling. You know, like, lay it all on the table. Lay it all on the table. Because if you know that it's not going to change anything, then what's the point in? If you know it's not going to change anything, then what's the point of keeping it in? Say everything. Literally. That's all I really have to say about it. It's one of those things where it's just like, people don't want to say the wrong thing, but it depends on how strong your bond is, because if you there is no wrong thing for some people. Like, just being able to tell them something that sounds wrong to you may not be wrong to them. And who knows, it might be something that they needed to hear and everything. It's possible. But yeah, I definitely would give, like, talking a shot. Literally. you know, or keeps them in the loop. Because when you don't keep someone in the loop, when you say a bunch of different things, and then it, when you say a bunch of different things, it could confuse said person, and then that person is comes to an understanding that's probably fucking nowhere near what actually happened, you know? So it's just like let definitely fill them in and say like, hey, I'm going through this, or I have a lot on my plate, or this, that, and the other. Keep them. You don't have to keep them fully in the loop. You don't have to tell them every single thing that is going on in your life, but once in a while, tell them like, hey, this would probably be the best time for me to do this, da 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 da. But definitely give them like either one, him, her, they, them, whatever. I don't care. But definitely give them a opportunity to understand like what is going on, because it's the fact that you could say one thing and then you could say another thing, but it's like, does what you said before not, like, does it make sense? Like, for example, just so then it's like you kind of understand where I'm coming from. With, you already know who I'm talking about, anyways, so I don't really have to go down that whole thing, but is the fact that she said we needed to postpone our wedding in the beginning. And then later, she said we needed to. Well, I mean, not that we needed to, but that she hated me because of something I did. And then the fact that she hated me for one thing, and then she hated me because of another thing. And then that's when the dam broke. That's when the dam bursted, and then it was the end. And it's the fact that like you're left
got addicted to you so easily.
you're left
Attracted
very
to ways that are hard to explain.
you're left very confused because it's just like
when night falls and the world
you're left very confused because you weren't told anything, you know because at no point did you say, like, the wedding is off, or I don't want to ever marry you ever, or you know what I mean. So it's one of those things where it's just like what's really what's really going on, you know what I mean. But yeah, I definitely would say just be clear about it. Like, if and it's like if you can't call because you don't think that you'll be able to handle like hearing their voice and everything, if that's something you generally think that you couldn't handle, then write, like, have each other both write paragraphs or just type something and then send it out, and that's it. But then again, the rule still doesn't the rule still applies here in the sense of you say everything. I don't care if you have to chop it into 6 different parts for it to all fit. You say everything. You don't want anything to be left out. Because, you know, different people take stuff differently, you know? Like, it's just like, with my whole situation, like, could I have just crashed out and then just drove down there and then basically demanded that she just make more sense because everything she just said makes none? Yeah, I could have. Is that good? No. It's the fact that it was something I was going, and If I'm being honest, it's the fact that it's something that I was gonna do because it just nothing made sense. Because me personally, this is simply just me. There could be other people that are also like that, if I'm being honest. But it's the it's the it's the fact of if it's the fact of if you don't want me to like if you want me to forget you and everything, all you have to say is simply this: I don't love you anymore. That's it. And it's the fact that I feel like people get it confused because it's like just because you don't love somebody anymore doesn't mean that you don't care for them. Doesn't mean that you don't want to see them succeed. Doesn't mean that you don't want to see doesn't mean you don't want to see them like improve in their life. It just means that the love I had for you isn't there, but I still care for you. A lot of people have that. Like, for example, I don't love my fucking Uncle John. Like, there's a lot of people in my family. I don't love them. I care for them, but I don't love them. Like, but I feel like that's kind of what people they mix caring and loving in the same thing. So when someone hears I don't love you anymore, they also mean like, oh, they don't care about me either. You know? But to me, I'm the opposite. It's just that's just how that's just how it is, if I'm being honest. Because just because you don't, yeah, just because you don't love someone anymore doesn't mean you don't care for them anymore. And it's the fact that you can let them know that, of course. Like if, especially if you don't think that they actually like understand it. It's the fact that you can. I've had exes say that. I've had 4 exes say they don't love me, and that's it. But out of the 7, well, 7 counting her, obviously. Out of the 7, well, was it 7? No, it's 8 counting her. Yeah, 8 counting her. So the three that I had before, they had said, I don't love you anymore. Well, I guess that'd be 2. 8, 4. No, that's 3. Yeah, because it's, yeah. So I don't, I done confused my damn self. But anyways, they said like they don't love me anymore, but they still care like about me and everything. And I was like, okay. Even with the ones that said they didn't love me, I was just like, okay. That's just how that is. Because people want to use other words that kind of like the other synonyms that match it, like, oh, the spark is gone, or the spark. Like, there's nothing that you can't fix anything because the spark is gone. The last time I checked, what does a spark plug do? It sparks, right? So what do you do when it doesn't spark anymore? Sometimes spark plugs literally spark to make like lawnmowers go, make your car go. But it's the fact that sometimes the spark plug will stop sparking. And most people would think, oh well, it's just I guess it's time to get a new spark plug. But sometimes, well, majority of the time, because it's usually what the problem is the fact of the spark plug has the spark plug has some has something interfering with it. Either it's debris or it's like coated in like oil or whatever the case may be, where it's like it's not that connection to spark isn't there. But it's the fact that you give it a good clean, like you clean where the thing is at and you put that thing back in there, that shit sparks up immediately. Spark plugs last a very long time. Literally. Like they're not something that you're supposed to replace like super often. And I know people that replace them like every 6 months, which is insane because that's not how that works. Spark plugs literally should last a good while. But it's just one of those things. Spark plugs typically last between 20,000 to 100,000 miles or more. Think about that. But yeah, that's how literally 20,000 to 100,000 miles. Keep in mind and think about that. Like genuinely, my car now has like 159,000 miles. It takes a while to get to 100,000 miles on a car, especially if you're not like, unless you're like a comedian or you're someone that's on the road like majority of the time. But even then, you're not using your own personal car to get from place to place. You know. But I don't know. It's just there's a lot of different things that people. I feel like there's a lot of things that people put together that's that shouldn't be together. Just because it's like it's under the same like not circumstances, but it's under the same like it's kind of under the same thing in the sense like loving someone and caring about someone. Like yeah. Sorry, but it's the fact of like yeah, you could love someone, like loving someone and caring for someone. Yeah, it's the same thing, obviously. But it's like they're the same in they're the same but different at the same time. Cause like at least it could be just me, but like saying I love you and then saying I care about you, to me those sound different. Or like not even they sound different, but they mean different. Cause like saying I care about you is just I care about your health. I care about your future. I care about you know everything that you do. I care about your success. I care about your I think I already said health, I think. But like there's like, I care about everything. And then you have I love you. Which would like to me it means like I love you is just I love who you are. You know? I love like I love like how do I say this? I love I love who you are as a person. I love like your flaws. I love the pros and cons that are you, you know? Like to me that's what I love you is. But it's the fact that when you're in a relationship, both of those things mean the same thing because when you're with someone, obviously you love and care for them. But it's the fact that when you break up, some people think that the person doesn't care for them, but it's the fact that they may not love you anymore, but at the same time they still do care about you. Like, it may not seem like it in the beginning, but I'm telling you, if you passed on and they found out, I'm sure, from face value, in front of people and everything, they wouldn't really react. But I'm telling you, once they get once they're by themselves and there's no one else, I'm not gonna say that they're gonna full on sob and completely break down and cry and everything. Like, that's not something I'm saying will happen. But I'm definitely telling you that they will definitely some tears will fall, because it's the fact that they may not have loved you, but at the same time they still cared for you. But yeah, that's simply just me, if I'm being honest. There's nothing more to that. It's just that. The world was ending, I wanna bend it. But, what can I say? It's just one of them things, I guess. It's one of those things. It's just one of those things that I feel like people. It's one of those things that people confuse, but it's one of those things that people, I feel like, need to let other people know. Like, let them know how you feel about them, you know? Like, if someone says they hate you, like, because you can say you hate someone out of anger, but it's the fact that when you're not, it's the fact of, like, when you cool off and you're calm again, it's the fact that, you could ask someone, do you hate me? And they'll say, if it's in anger, if they're, like, mad at you, they'll say, yeah, I hate you. But it's the fact that if you ask them, like, in the next, I don't know, like 4 or 5 hours, when everything's cooled off, you know, like, they're all cool, they're good, ask them again. And I bet you it's the fact that they could say yes again, but from my experience, it's the fact that from my experience, it's it's more of an anger thing than it is a, like, that's how they genuinely feel. But then again, that could just be me. I don't know. That could just be me and my experience. Everyone has different experiences, of course. I'm not saying that every experience is the same experience, but hey, that's just that's just my 2 cents on that whole thing. But it's more like, I feel like it's kind of like this. If, let's say, like, depending on what it was, like, let's say it basically depends on what it was. Like, if you were in their shoes, or if you were, I don't know, if you're a dude and you did something to a woman, like, flip it. And I'm not meaning like she did it to you, but if you were a woman and someone did that to you, how would you feel about it? You know? But it's also, you can also, flip it, and if someone did that to you, then how would you feel about it? You know? Because most people say, like, oh, if someone did that to you, like your sister or something, well, that's different. I feel like that's way different. Because if someone did some shit to my sister, they'd just be a head on a pike, if I'm being honest. That's simply just me. That's legit just me. Their head would just be on a pike. That's about it. There's nothing else about that. Their head would just be on a pike, and That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. But it's the fact that if it doesn't, is the fact that if it happened to you and it's not something that you, if someone's mad at you for something and it's like if they did that to you, you wouldn't be mad about it. Definitely think about it and be like, think more, more deeply into it, and actually think and like kind of pick it apart, kind of figure out it's where it stems from, like where it is, like why they're that mad about something, because it could be something that they've experienced before. It could be, to them it could be a sign of something or whatever the case may be. So definitely kind of analyze it and kind of understand it, and of course, talk to them about it. you know why is it when I do this you get very mad, you know like why when I do that you get very mad, like what about that is like something that just eats you up, you know but hey, you know what do I know, right? What do I know? I've been around the block, so, but I know nothing, as I've been told. But it's funny, cause hey, I've helped a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people, and I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh, I didn't believe you," and then then they're in that situation and they think of like this, and they think of when I said this, and they're just like, "Fuck it, let's see." And then they do it, and then it goes the way I say it was gonna go, and then that's it. Because having experience on dating isn't just dating people. Like, it's the fact that I had a lot of friends that would always date people, and I would just observe like how I would observe like everything. I would observe how they talk when they do certain things, why one will like do something else. I was very observant, and it's the fact that I've dated 7 people, well, 8 people. So, but people think like, oh, it comes from experience, but it's just like, no, you just have to be observant. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else. You just have to be very observant, and not even very observant, but just um, you have to be observant enough to know like, oh, that seems off, obviously. But yeah, again, what do I know, right? Goodness. But yeah,